Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of In Your Wheelhouse, brought to you by WheelHouse IT. If it's not in your wheelhouse, don't reinvent it. I am your host, Todd Rosales. These have been some good episodes. I hope everybody has been enjoying them. I hope they've been a little bit of a bright spot in your day and that you get to learn something from them. It's been a great day. Got to wake up early, spend some time with the family, went for a nice bike ride, got the exercise in. But today, right now, it is showtime. I am joined for the first time on the show by a partner of WheelHouse, a client of WheelHouse, if you will. They have been with WheelHouse IT since before I've come on board, so I'm not as familiar as my colleagues Dan and Rory are with them, but we're going to get to know them a little bit today because what they do in the community is absolutely needed. And what they're doing for kids in the area is incredible. So we want to get to know them a little bit, understand how they've been operating because they've been around since about 1985, and realistically how they continue to do something like social services in a socially distanced world. That's going to be a tongue twister. I don't know if I can continue to say that so fast. So I want to welcome my guests, Kirk and Jen. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you guys. So Kirk, give us a little bit of an overview, because I certainly won't do it justice, of what Handy does. I know that you're a nonprofit for disadvantaged kids I believe in the Broward County area, but I'm sure you can go much better than that. Tell us what you do and what your mission is.
So our mission goes all the way back to 1985, where a guardian ad litem at the time wanted to create something that will fill the gaps for young people that are part of three different systems: homelessness, relative care, and foster care, because he believed that care should not be fully based on a system, but a pieces of services that is formatted to assist the young person to progress towards a positive future and to, empower families to be able to save themselves, their community, and to become, willful citizens of Broward County. So Handy's mission is to achieve positive, lasting change for youth by providing life skills, education, and a supportive community. The word there, if we were doing a word board that needs to jump out to everyone, is achieve. We want to achieve it at a very high level. So since 1985, Handy has served almost 50,000 children and families in Broward County, each year averaging almost 1,200 individuals being served, young people ages 9 to 25, along with their family members and caregivers, providing, assessments, academic planning, evaluations, case management, counseling, and academic support, which, includes after-school tutoring, mentoring, social and recreational activities, emergency needs assistance for food, clothing, housing, education workshops, life skills training. You name it, a kid walk through our door and need it, we're going to find a way to provide it. And our eligibility is a family or a youth in need. We try not to, fit squares into circles and circles into squares, but treat the young person as a human being in the need of support and assistance. And the other word that should jump out to you is lasting change. As a part of our mission, lasting change really speaks to when we walk into a household or a life of our young people, we're thinking about what that household is going to look like 5-10 years from now. In addition to that, are we mirroring the household? Do they feel safe? Do they feel secure? Are we culturally competent enough in our services? Are we also socially competent in our services to get to the core issue, to get to the core of what may be affecting this family and the family, structure? So we want to offer a level of services and care that will be lasting, not just for them, but for the community at large. And supportive community is the other part of our mission that should jump out to you. Our partners join a community of hope, which means at any time we might pivot, we might become flexible in what we require of our partners. There's simple examples of that if a young person of ours get accepted to the University of West Florida, we're going to drive them there. Wow. We're not going to put them on the Greyhound. We're going to drive them there. We're going to move them into the campus. We're going to make the bed. And, the case manager that signs up to be that young person support structure has to take a picture of the bed being made. Has to take the young person to their, post-secondary shopping like a parent. And most likely we also complain about how small the dorm room is. But that's a regular parent. So that supportive community includes the 42 partners that we have. Those in the nonprofit industry, those that are also our corporate partners like BrandSmart, Best Buy, you guys, teams that are willing to lock arms with us to come in and say, let's explore this young person who lives in Broward County that has never heard about the marine industry, about what the marine industry really is about. Let's come in and do career workshops, WheelHouse IT, and teach our young people about how, lucrative and possible the IT world is for them. So that's when we speak of a supportive community in our mission, that's how grassroots and specific it becomes, because we have one mantra at handy: everybody works for kids.
That's absolutely incredible, and it's more than needed in this world. Giving people the experience and the opportunity to be successful is incredible, no matter what their background is or no matter what their circumstances is. I think that's absolutely needed. As far as complaining about the dorm rooms, I think unfortunately TV and movies have set improper expectations of the dorms that we should live in, and realistically, and also New York apartments. Let's be serious. TV shows, New York apartments too, are not that big unless you're extremely wealthy. But comedy aside, I want to point out one of the things that you had mentioned is that the ages are from 9 to 25, right? And someone had pointed out to me, it's because foster care, I believe, ends at 18. But
Yes.
listen, I remember back when I was 18, I was actually up at Florida State already. I turned 18 my freshman year of college. And I think it would be argued that I was not ready to be out in society on my own, especially. And listen, I'm not nothing against the kids you work with, but I came from a house with a full family and everything else. And obviously, was going to Florida State for an education. I was not ready to face the world on my own. So I can't imagine what it's like for someone in foster care at 18 getting a pat on the back and saying, hey, go have fun. So you guys are one of the few organizations that actually help people transition from foster care until, the next 7 years, right?
Yeah, so in 2002, we started along this journey of independent living, transitional independent living services, because in 2002, we saw that an alarming amount of the homelessness in Broward County had a direct correlation to the young people that were aging out of foster care, right? And I would say Broward County came together, and when this county comes together, we really come together. We take partnerships really, really serious. I give you a microcosm example. We were in the room and we were debating what percentage of success would be, applicable if we go on this mission. And we were like, above 90%. We're going to have a 90% success rate if we do this. So we started working with young people that were transitioning out of foster care in 2002. One of the valuable lessons we learned was, we had some young people who graduated from high school. For almost 2 decades, our high school graduation rate has been above 90%, right?
Wow.
They graduated and we moved them all into their college dorms, and in 2 semesters, they all came back. And then we realized trauma doesn't end at 18.
Yeah.
Above 85% of the young people in our program come to us as a result of extreme abuse, neglect, abandonment, and trauma. And that mechanism and that level of, trials that these young people have suffered do not end when they're 18 years old. It goes with them into their post-secondary existence, and it goes with them into their career existence, as with everyone that has, experienced a level of trauma. Then we started our portion of the program that we call educational case management, that oversees and checks in with that life while they're at FSU. I saw I did a UWF plug, and you were like, let me drop the FSU bomb right now.
I'm an alumni. It's a requirement.
I know, right?
It's a stipulation of my diploma.
I was a professor there, so I gotta drop the owl thing, the whole thing also. But let me also mention that I graduated from FAU, so I don't get phone calls from FAU. But, while they're at FIU, we partner with 27 post-secondary institutions across the state of Florida for our young people, from their financial aid departments to their housing departments to, their on you know, on-campus work, on-campus housing, on-campus everything, because we have partnered with them in regard to building a community, a supportive community on the college campus, right? That community of hope now exists there, and we have partnered intimately that we're checking on our young people, every 2 weeks to see how they're doing, to coach them through that journey. Now, we have young people who are also local that are attending Broward College. And I will tell you, Broward College is an amazing partner. That we have a cell phone connection to whoever we need to call to make sure this young person is able to progress through the post-secondary experience. The other thing that we saw in 2008 and 2009 were empty degrees. While our civilization, while America was going through this skill and job availability issue, we realized that 2-year and 4-year institutions are great, but there's also the need to talk to our young people about technical education, apprenticeships, workforce experiences. So we started somewhere around there talking to, the manufacturing industry, talking to the construction industry, talking to the Atlantic Technical Centers, and getting our young people and educating our young people about what, quintessentially most people call blue collar jobs, right? So we have seen a really steady flow of young people choosing the technical route, young people choosing the 2-year route, young people choosing the 4-year route. And that's because we have educated them about the career ladder that is available all the way through. And then we got our corporate partners together, and now we work with our young people a year before graduation and starting their internships into what will become their future employment opportunity.
That I honestly believe that our public education system could take some notes from what you guys are doing. As a product of the Florida public education system, listen, I mean, they did a great job. They gave me information that I needed, but as far as knowing all the options of work opportunity and all the different career paths that you could take, I don't think that kids of any background get enough of that. So I think what you're doing can actually be modeled on a grander scale for kids all over the place. It's hard enough growing up in life as a kid, just with the insecurities, not knowing, inexperience, and everything else. And then add the circumstances that the kids that you've helped are, on top of that. I can't imagine how tough that is. So what you guys are doing is absolutely incredible. Jen, you are more recent to Handy. I would love to hear your experience. What made you want to join this organization, and just the experience you've had since joining?
So yes, thank you again for having us on the podcast today. I'm the Chief Development Officer for Handy. I joined the organization in March after the office had already gone remote. So that was pretty interesting. I started raising money as a child because I love animals. I learned about their suffering. I wanted to help. So I learned, hey, raising money is a way I can help animals. And I just kept doing it. I started planning fundraisers. I started promoting the fundraisers. So I'm someone who I always kind of gravitate to those who need to have their voice heard and they need help in that process. So whether it's animals or animals in need or children in need, it's just, I never really picked my career. It just kind of was a natural progression and things I cared about just on my own. And fundraising was kind of my hobby for a while. I went the PR track for many years, and then I segued back into fundraising. I wanted to work for Handy. I heard about the organization from so many people in the community. But actually, I had a phone call with Kirk. And I think in the first 5 minutes, I heard his passion. And, when you work for nonprofit organizations, I've worked for many, many local, national nonprofits in my career. You have to have passion. I mean, you cannot do this job as a job. This is not something that isn't on your mind or shouldn't, escape your mind when you're not working. I mean, I don't think there's ever a time I'm not working. Kirk's very similar to me. I think we're just, when you know that the work that you're doing is helping kids who've been abused, kids who've been abandoned, they've been neglected, their parents are incarcerated, they were born into generations of poverty. I would hope that if that was my situation, someone would have helped me. I'm lucky. I have, a wonderful, very supportive family. My parents are in their 80s. They're in Boynton Beach. But not everyone is born into those circumstances. So to have a job where you're doing something using your skill set, just a plug, I went to Cambridge University and FIU, to use your skill set and use, your contacts, and I will call it the gift of gab, if you will, and engaging people. I mean, fundraising is very similar to PR, where it's relationships. I don't call someone and say, hey, I'm Jen and the organization I work for needs money. What I do is I call people who I know care about the issues that Handy deals with, and I tell them the why. I paint the picture of what these kids in our backyard, literally, 10 miles, 15 miles away, what they're dealing with. And I mean, there have been a couple times when I first got onboarded and I listened to some of the program meetings online, of course, and I heard what the kids were sharing. I'm a mom. I have twin 17-year-old girls. To think of my girls in that same situation as some of the kids that are involved with Handy, I mean, if that doesn't hit you and that doesn't make you feel that how amazing it is to have a job. First of all, to have a job right now is a wonderful thing. But to have a job where you're literally helping people move forward in their life, coming from a really hard place. So what I do as the Chief Development Officer is I create relationships and I embrace people and I talk to them and I express to them why we need their support. I mean, Kirk, I think, could run the world on his own, but we need help to do this. I mean, there's no way that any one nonprofit here or nationally, locally, can do what they do on their own. So what I say is, as Chief Development Officer, we are not a transactional relationship nonprofit where it's a two-way street. We know we need money. We need cash. Absolutely no question. But at the same time, we need to show value to our sponsors. We need to show them that by partnering with Handy, they're not just doing a feel good. They're actually doing real good in the community because they're helping kids be able to move on from needing help to no longer needing the level of support as adults that will be living maybe in Broward County. So there's so many ways that an organization, an individual can help. And the wonderful thing is, in my role, I can tailor something to make it work for what their goals are. As far as technology and what it's done with COVID-19, there's no way I could do my job without technology. I mean, it's really leveled the fundraising playing field because I can't do my normal process. I talk to people, I vet them, I make sure they're, a good candidate, there's alignment, there's a good fit there. I make sure they have the ability to give. And then I would normally get in front of them and talk to them and try to have a face-to-face. Well, no one's doing that. I mean, I learned early on, if you don't have someone's cell phone, not everyone checks their LinkedIn as obsessively as I do. It's like you're cut off, your communication's cut off. And with technology, I mean, we've surpassed online fundraising campaigns, which what I thought would take the whole summer, we did it in under 3 weeks because we had robust technology. I hate to say it, but we were able to pivot. We were able to put things online, transition, being flexible. Without that, I don't know what we would have done. I mean, I started on a Wednesday. By Friday, we had a critical needs email blast out and up on our site. That was everything for Handy to be able to raise money during a global pandemic. And don't forget, there's, how many nonprofits are there in South Florida? They're all trying to vie for the same dollar. Yeah. They're all, we're all kind of doing the same thing. And some of them are our partners. But without being able to take funds online, what would we have done? Direct mail, Kirk? I mean, it would have been a much slower go. It would have been a much harder road. So going back to your question, why did I want to work for Handy? Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I want to have a job where I get to help kids at the end of my career, which probably won't be for a long time, that I'll know I've helped kids that really, truly, by no fault of their own, just they were born into a really tough situation. I mean, some of these kids, we just had a graduation parade with Coca-Cola, and Stanley C. Panther led the parade. These kids could have easily said, you know what, my family life's tough. School ended abruptly. I'm not going to finish high school. I'm just going to forget it. And they didn't. And they worked really hard. And originally, when we put the parade together, I admit it was for the sponsor opportunities. But after that first stop, because I haven't met the kids, I don't know anyone. I haven't really met a lot of people in Handy.
Mm-hmm.
And after that first stop, and I saw one of the girls who has had a really hard year, really hard time, crying because she felt so appreciative, because she got, gifts from Coca-Cola. She got swag bags from Extreme Action. The Panthers came out, and she was so, and all the kids on the parade route, they were so, it was raw. I mean, once I saw that, I'm like, okay, great. Sponsors were great, and we love our sponsors. But the bigger picture was it's changing. Handy's really changing kids' lives.
Yeah. I can only imagine, and I know you said that Kirk can run the world. Well, he certainly has my vote for Secretary of Education for sure. I think what you're doing is great, and I love that you lead with passion, right? I'm all about people having passion in their jobs because, and this is my opinion, I think for the past 20 years or so, this country has done a very good job of putting kids through our educational system to fill cubicles. And I think it's unfortunate, right? A lot of us, my age, a little bit older, a little bit younger than me, we're told go to school, get a good education, get a job at a good company with benefits, and you'll be happy. And maybe some people are, maybe some people aren't. No one has ever really sat people down and said, figure out what you like to do and then do it well, and then figure out how to make money doing that. And that's just more of a path to happiness. Going back to what you said, Kirk, talking about not only just offering 2 and 4 year degrees and having people go to that traditional college, but looking at technical schools, learning a trade, learning a skill. I think it's underrated that if you learn a skill and you become one of the best people that you can at that skill, you'll make more money than doctors and lawyers and bankers and stuff. I mean, I know it's a stupid comparison, but go look on TV, look at the Property Brothers, right? Selling houses, but they parlayed that into a TV career. Guys like if we go back to the West Coast custom shows, those are welders. They're welders, but they're making some of the coolest, most creative cars we've ever seen. And they figured out how to take a skill like welding and turn it into a multi-million-dollar career, right? So on that note, when you look at the kids that are coming through the Handy system, would you say there has been a resurgence in people starting to learn a trade versus wanting to go for a finance degree or a banking job or something like that? I'm just really curious because I think our country is going to make a move back towards that direction. I think it's going to be very important.
It's a social reprogramming, right? So when you and I, well, I'm probably the oldest person on this call. I'm 45.
No, you're not.
When I was in Ely High School, everyone was pushing college, right? And this was the 90s, right? And blue collar, whenever you heard blue collar, you heard sweat, right? You heard sweat, working hard, grinding. And we get to that place now as a society where we realize blue collar, sweat, and grinding don't necessarily go hand in hand when you talk to our friends from the manufacturing industry, right?
Yeah.
And you don't even have to be the best of the best to make 6 figures in manufacturing. You don't. So as we explain this, and we have a structured program called Resume for Life, that is supported by the Children's Services Council under the Luca Foundation. As we explain this to our young people, we keep it really simple. We have CEOs from different industries come into our building. Now they come on our Zoom, which thank you guys. You guys really hooked us up. I'm going to speak about that shortly. You know, these young people, these CEOs come in and they speak to our young people about their industry, how they can enter it, how they could climb the ladder in it, and how they can enter it for free. Like, there's so many kids with 4-year degrees with $50,000 worth of debt, right? Because someone has not explained to them how they can get that paid for, right?
Yeah.
So in our Resume for Life program, it's about exposing our young people to the industry, having them experience the industry, and then placing them in the industry so they can see if they like it. If they don't like it, it's okay to choose something else, because the average college freshman probably changes, you know, their degree that they're seeking like 4 or 5 times before they become a senior.
Yeah.
Right? So giving them those options and information really leads to that brain opening up. And to answer your question, yeah, when our kids find out that they could, you know, in 2 years get a certification in construction, and then I'll give you a basic example. So we partnered with DPR, and they showed our young people how to do drywall. Just as a part of our Resume for Life, this is the experience part. How to put up a drywall, how to do all of these things. One of our young
I have
people,
a closet that needs to be refinished. We need to talk after this. So let's go on. Go on.
so our young person enters into DPR as a part of our work experience program that we have. And he's putting up drywall for like $12, $13 an hour for a month. And he comes into my office and he was like, you know, the guy came by to inspect if I put the drywall up, you know, properly. And he was just there for like 15 minutes. How do I get to be that guy? Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, we've exposed this young person that didn't see a future, right, to an industry. And now he's looking at his boss and he's saying, how do I become that guy? What certification do I need to be that guy? For every parent, that's like a light bulb moment. And I'm like, okay, let me tell you how. Let's get that guy on the phone.
That's cool.
That's what we mean by supportive community. So we call them and the guy's like, listen, you could go here, and this is a certification. And by the way, it only takes you 6 months.
Wow.
Right? And then the
That's
guy told him how much he made an hour. And now that young person signed up for that certification, and we partner with Career Source Broward to make sure we're able to use the independent training accounts that they have there that allowed for that young person to do that certification for free of charge.
That's
so
incredible.
That's how it's not really that complicated. We have all the resources in Broward. All we have to do is connect the dots, but speak the language of the clients that are seeking a future.
I imagine that same kid that made that observation one day is going to realize, well, I could work for this company and get paid by the hour,
Or start my own.
or I could just go to a building supply store, buy the drywall, and do this and make all the money. And then I can pay other people hourly wages. So, you know, it's the kids like that that kind of look at the angles, that see their foot in the door, and they go, well, I'm going to start on this path, and then I'm going to learn everything. And then when I learn everything, I'm going to be the owner, and I'm going to be that guy. And it's an incredible story. And had they not gone through your system and you given that experience, who knows what would have happened, right? So I love what you got. Go on.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say, and if we couldn't tell those stories, if Handy didn't have the ability to tell the stories right now, you know, using technology, the internet, social media, we wouldn't be able to find sponsors and partners that fund the organization so that we can help more kids. So, you know, again, the whole key, right now, the key to fundraising is telling that story, painting that picture, reaching out to the local community and letting people know the programs that we're offering, that what we're doing, because just like you, once people hear it, they want to help, they want to get involved. And that first step is awareness and education about the need and then how to help. So, again, you know, without the technology, this would be really hard to get the word out to the masses.
Well, you know, I try not to to get into politics on anything I do on the internet because it's a losing battle. But with everything that's going on in the world right now, it's very refreshing and enjoyable to hear about an organization that is putting equity out there and giving people a shot and bringing everybody to the same starting line. And, you know, I would say from the education, the experience they're getting, almost a little bit of an advantage, right? Because you guys are being so specific with them and making sure that they're on the right spot. I think it's incredible. So I want to transition now to, you guys have been doing this since 1985. It's been an incredible journey. And then all of a sudden, mid-March, boom, the world shuts down, the country shuts down, but that doesn't mean that Handy shuts down. That doesn't mean that life is any easier on these kids, that things are going to change for them. In fact, it gets tougher because now they're stuck at home. Now they don't have the ability to go out and do the experiences that you have. They're not in school. They're stuck at home in situations that may not be good. How do you guys now transition from, you know, I'm sure a ton of in-person work and a ton of you know, classes and events and everything else like that to a digital business in the social services world? How has that transition been for you?
So in I would say August of 2018 or 2019, August of 2019, we had a board retreat and we built a strategic plan. Part of a strategic plan was to force what we do into the technological age. If you know anything about social work, our industry alignment with technology is pretty archaic, right? It is. You know, people are running reports only from Excel spreadsheets, right? So we are, no pun against Excel, but you know, we thought about it back then, and we used words like, let's go paperless, let's build a seamless pattern of communication. And then we onboarded with WheelHouse. And in last week of February, I was watching international news and I was like, yeah, things are gonna get bad here with COVID. So I brought my executive team in and we talked about going 100% virtual by the end of the first week of March, right? At that time, everyone looked at me like I was crazy. I will tell you, we partnered with you know, Best Buy, BrandSmart, all our technology partners, because we had to do an you know, a feasibility assessment on the agency can go virtual, but can the client go virtual? So we were able to get a functional machine into all of the hands of our clients that they can communicate directly with us from a laptop screen through Zoom. We went on our platform. We were able to get Zoom. We were able to get a license for Zoom, of course, HIPAA compliant. We were able to do all of those things and also partner with WheelHouse to structure our server in a cloud, do all of the things that your team was able to do. And by the time we got to the first week of March, we were 100% virtual. All of our classes, all of our programming was structured virtually. All of our 95% of our clients were virtually compliant. The feasibility, they were very feasible to log on, immediately get in touch with their worker, immediately get in touch with their case management. We even opened up the biggest Instacart account I ever seen, you know, in order to get the food to our clients. We were able to pay rent for our clients because emergency needs skyrocketed when people started losing their jobs. 80% of our clientele have lost 70% of their employment, right? So we're looking at a very, you know, working poor clientele, and I don't want us to miss the word working there. These are people who are actively working hard in our community that have lost their major line of income, that we're now walking back over to our corporate partners, one, from a virtual platform for them to be able to work virtually, and two, for them to be able to work for our corporate partners. And that has been successful thus far. But we were able to make that quick transition. The other thing I want everyone to kind of understand is that this age group that we're serving, 9 to 25, they already do this communication thing virtually. Okay, walk around your house. If you have a teenager, they're looking at a screen more than they're looking at you. Right? So it's us meeting a client where they are. One of the side effects of this, however, is that they're all zoomed out. You know, no one really thought that we will be socially isolated for more than 4 months, right? Yeah. So they're kind of zoomed out, and we're, you know, trying to add some more spark, some more flavor, because, you know, when you're working with teenagers or this age group, you better entertain them. Whatever you're doing better be fun. To get them, to pull them in so you could feed them the knowledge that they need. So it's been successful. Our clients are signing on. They are fatigued. They're having technology fatigue. You know, I'll dare say that we're having technology fatigue. Like one more Zoom meeting, God, you know. But you know, it's the new way, and we have to get people's minds and hearts and productivity levels around. This is what it is right now.
Yeah. It's it's great what you guys are doing. And I'm glad that the technology was able to help. You know, speaking to Rory and Dan, I know that we had helped you with an office move. We had set you up with your servers virtually in Microsoft's Windows Azure, which is a 100% cloud-based environment. The nice thing about that is it allows you guys to scale up and scale down your resources as needed. So as a nonprofit, you're not paying for additional compute power to run your organization. You just pay it as a utility, which is what I think a lot of businesses to move to. And then I believe that we also set you up with either Office 365 or a Windows Virtual Desktop so that all of your employees can access any of their corporate information across any of their devices, and we can still keep that same security as if you guys were all working in the corporate office. So, you know, I'm glad that that's working out for you guys. I'm glad that the kids are enjoying the Teams meetings and everything else. You know, it's funny. I know that you guys have the Best Buy Tech Center that you guys have, that Best Buy was kind enough to provide for you guys and help your kids understand the world of production and technology and everything else like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden a few weeks from now I'm gonna see a few kids from Handy pop up and have a little web show like this one here. But you know, tell us about that partnership with Best Buy, because that intrigues the crap out of me. In today's time, you know, with the internet, you don't need much to start something. You don't need to go to Hollywood. You don't need a development deal. You don't need to be on the radio or anything else. We look at how we're doing this show here today. Of course, I've got this fancy microphone and arm, but it's probably the most expensive piece of equipment we have, and it wasn't that much. I'm looking into a webcam, and I've got a mixer to make sure that the microphone can go into my computer, and we're using Microsoft Teams. I mean, very, very easy setup. And I'm sure your kids are learning that. Honestly, your kids probably know more than I do about broadcasting. So tell us a little bit about the Tech Center.
They know more about technology than we do. So the Tech Center, the Best Buy Teen Tech Center is a partnership between the Teen Tech Network and Best Buy. And they have been like amazing partners throughout this ordeal. You know, getting our young people through the education and after school program in between March and June, I would say it was an adjustment for us, but it wasn't hard. It was not hard. It was just an adjustment. And 100% of our middle school young people did not repeat a grade. They all progressed to the next grade. And 95% of our high school students graduated high school this year. Wow. So COVID doesn't stop our future. It doesn't stop our drive. It doesn't stop our future. And it doesn't stop where we're going as a community. So, you know, that's kind of like the focus that we have to have. With the Best Buy partnership, you know, we were able to really magnify the technology for summer camp. So for the entire summer camp, imagine having a summer camp with 100+ kids every year, and now you have to take that and make it virtual. So I'm going to say it here first. This summer, we've been able to record an album, write a book, do virtual art. Our young people took part in coding, tutorial sessions, life skills, and poetry, all virtually. And they wrote a book that they're editing virtually on a platform with like 9 people reading the same material that they put together. So yes, they're using all the Microsoft tools and bells and whistles that we have to be able to write a book. But the song part is Best Buy. They're recording an entire album, mixing it, editing it, putting their verses together from a screen, right? So that has been able to continue our level of work and the services that we bring to our young people. Now, Best Buy for August going into the future, you know, there's a lot of bells and whistles there that I can't make public yet. But I think our young people are going to have a lot of fun. We're going to teach them how to maximize this internet thing. We're going to teach them that there are people in Europe working for a company in Broward, right? Because with the internet and technology, you don't have an office. You have an entire world that you could work in. And you know, that's the leap that they have to make. And I think that's the leap also our staff and our model has to make, right? Because right now we're talking to Jen and her cat.
Yes.
Well, my cat's moving, but yeah. No,
Right.
exactly, Kirk. Like what you said, the biggest advantage and the what technology's done, it's given us the data, it's given us the reach, and it's given us the efficiency to be able to share all of this information. I mean, how else would we do it? There's no other way to do it. Even something like the annual back to school campaign, which the kids would normally be out actually shopping, we transitioned it, and now there's an online campaign. So, you know, it's we wouldn't be able to really do programs or fundraising or all the elements that make up Handy without a really strong technology partner. Just wouldn't be possible.
Well, we appreciate that, and we very much appreciate the relationship. It is our pleasure to work with an organization like you guys with everything that you're doing. Candidly, you know, if the kids, I don't know much about broadcasting. I'm an undiscovered podcast host, but if anybody wanted to pick my brain about how to do a little web show like this, I'd be more than happy to offer my services. I can't promise they'll be the right answers, but it's what works so far. And clearly we're all sitting here and it seems to be going well for us. So I'd be absolutely happy to do that. I'd be scared that they're going to put me out of a job because they're probably going to be much better than me, much more entertaining and probably smarter. So I have to be careful with the knowledge I share, but no, I'd be happy to do that. And WheelHouse really appreciates the partnership. We've been talking probably for the better part of an hour now, so I want to be mindful of your time. You guys have very important jobs to get back to. What can we leave everybody with before we go today? Just some last words.
If I may, what are you going to do during this moment of making history? Because whatever we do, I think for the next 2 to 3 years as a nation will be historic because we're living in historic times.
Yeah.
We really are. So, you know, are you going to step up to help your section of the community to be better? And to think that, as Jen alluded to earlier, there are those among us who've been in a very struggling place before COVID. So if the rest of the nation is now weak at the knees because of COVID, there are individuals that were struggling to walk in the first place. So from a humanity perspective, and even from a donor perspective, and even from a talent perspective, what are you going to do with your talent, your treasures, and your time in this historic moment? Handy's open to your partnership, whether it be talent, treasure, you know, come our way, and time. And we will find a way to make it virtually work for our young people. One of the things we're exploring is online tutoring and having tutors on our interface with our young people to help them through the after school process. career guidance from a virtual platform. But, also I will go back to what Jen says. Every nonprofit needs money because this thing does not work without the people that are providing the guidance to these young people and overseeing these lives. So the big question is, what are you going to do? Because we're here for the partnership.
And then Jen, because I'm hoping that this video inspires a lot of people to make a donation, how do they get a hold of you and how can they work with you?
They can call me. I don't know if you can put my phone number up on
we'll put contact info
at the end.
This video, I'm gonna say on the video it'll be somewhere, so we'll be able to find it. Nick, that's your job. Put the contact info up.
They can go to handyinc.org. They can call me. They can email me. Really, if they log on to our website, they'll see a bunch of different campaigns running right now. Back to school is one we're focusing on. But there is no concrete, this is what I can offer you. I can work with an organization or an individual. I want to know, what are your philanthropic goals? What are you looking to do? How can I help you reach your philanthropic goals, whether it's an individual or a corporation? There's no one size fits all, because everyone's different. Some people have different goals and needs and budgets. And, that's where, again, it's not a transaction, it's a relationship, it's a partnership. And, most of the people I've worked with in the nonprofit world have become friends, because it's not, hey, give me a check and I'll call you in a year. It's, it's an ongoing, they really care. It's my job to talk to them in a way and really tell them what's going on, that they care, which is great. So that it's not just, here's a check, thanks for doing business with you. I would just encourage, like what Kirk said, is we are living in historical times. I tell my girls, it stinks right now, you're seniors, but you'll, come through this. What are you going to do? What are you going to be able to say you accomplished or did, or how did you help through this time? In addition to, Handy, we've been fostering kittens. Everyone can do something. Obviously, we would hope that people will see this and want to get involved, will want to learn. Maybe this is the first time people are learning that there's kids in Broward County in their own backyard that are in need of assistance. I mean, maybe they just don't know for whatever reason. I didn't know. I've certainly learned in the last almost 6 months of being with Handy things that I didn't know. And it's not, for lack of caring. It's, I didn't know what I know now. And I think once people dig in a little bit and just see all the things that Handy's doing, I have to hope that on some level they'll want to get involved and, call me. I don't sleep very much, and I always have my phone with me. So, call me, text me, email me, LinkedIn me, and however you need to reach me, just we will be happy to start talking about how we can work together.
Very cool. And we will put the contact information below, above, left, right, somewhere it'll be there. So I don't know while we're recording this, but look for the contact information, people, and reach out to Handy. Rory tells me that you guys throw an awesome annual gala. I will do my best to fit into my tuxedo to hopefully meet you guys in person when that happens. Depending on how much longer this goes, I might have to get a new one. So I appreciate you both for being on the show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, this has been another episode of In Your Wheelhouse. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you soon.